Hello students, good morning. Today again we are going to discuss about our paper number 301, Measurement and Process Control. In this paper we were discussing about your unit number final control element. In the last session we have started this unit with its unit introduction. Then after that we have discussed about definition of control valves, different definitions of control valves we have discussed in the last session. Then also we have discussed about the main use, what kind of applications of control valve we have discussed in the last session. Like valve is a control system. Valve is for stopping and starting fluid. Valve is for varying the amount of fluid flow. Controlling the direction of fluid flow. Valve is for controlling the direction of fluid flow. Valve is for regulating downstream system or process pressure. Valve is for relieving component or piping over pressure. This way we have discussed about its use or application, right? So this way we have mainly discussed about valve. And in control valve, for control valve we have started topic of its mainly most important part. So in the last session we have discussed up to this. Today we discuss about basic parts of control valves. Regardless of type, all valves have the following basic parts. Means all valves have same basic parts. The body, bonnet, trim means internal elements, actuator and packing. The basic parts of a valve are illustrated in figure 1, means in next slide you will see the figure of control valve. So what are the main parts of control valve? So control valves mainly have two parts. Part number 1 actuator part and part number 2 we can say body part. Number 1 actuator part, number 2 body part. So mainly any valve has two parts. It can divide in main two parts. So we will see its figure. Here you can see the overall figure from actuator to body or body to actuator with its stream and with its internal small parts. Here you can see the upper part is called actuator and the basic part of control valve is called body. Right? And here you can also see trim. So in actuator part you can see rain cap, eye bolt, diaphragm, spring, actuator, stem, diaphragm, case, scale plate, stem connector, yoke, packing flange, packing follower, yoke clamming nut, gland packing, and everything you can see here in equator part. Now in body part, the basic part of any control valve is its body part. Body part, there are little parts of it are valve stem, bonnet, stud, bolt and nut, gasket, guide ring, guide bushing, valve plug, seat ring, and valve body. Here you can also see trim. So this way there are different small parts of control valve, and each and every has its individual, we can say, individual importance, individual application. So we will discuss its parts in detail. Explain in detail about main valve parts. Here we are having small many parts, but we will discuss about its main valve parts. So first we discuss about valve body. The body, sometimes called the shell, is the primary pressure boundary of a valve. It serves as the principal element of a valve assembly because it is the framework that holds everything together. Means valve body is a very basic part, and the whole valve control is depend on the body. Body is sometimes called shell also, and is the primary pressure boundary of a valve. It serves as the principal element of a valve assembly because it is the framework that holds everything together. The body, the first pressure boundary of a valve, resists fluid pressure loads from connecting piping. The body, the first pressure boundary of a valve, resists fluid pressure loads from connecting pipes. It receives inlets and outlets piping through threaded, bolted or welded joints. Means inlet and outlet are connected in body part. So here the body can resist fluid pressure loads from connecting pipings as it receives inlet and outlet piping through threaded, bolted or welded joints. Right? Inlet and outlet can connected by threaded, bolted or welded joints. So we can say that body is a fundamental thing in any control valve. The basic element, the primary pressure boundary of a valve which holds everything together. It is a framework that holds everything together. fundamental, or we can say most important basic part of any valve is its body, which through can connect inlet outlet piping through threaded, bolted, and welded joints. It can resist fluid pressure load. So this way we can say valve body is a basic part of any valve. Valve bodies are cast or forged into a variety of shapes. Means valve body has have different shapes. It is not fixed to give a particular shape, although a sphere or a cylinder would theoretically be the most economical shape to resist fluid pressure when a valve is open. There are many other considerations. So we can say valve body are cast or forged into a variety of shapes. Means valve body have different shapes, but mainly a sphere or a cylinder would theoretically be the most economical shape. Means these are main shapes of any valve to resist fluid pressure when a valve open. There are many other considerations. According to its shape, there are another many considerations, but mainly we can say that sphere or a cylinder would be more economical shape to resist fluid pressure when a valve open. There are many other considerations according to its shape, but these two are main shapes of valves. Though there are many varieties in its shape, but still these are most common, a sphere or a cylinder shape. For example, many valves required a partition across the valve body to support the seat opening. Means we can say that there are another many considerations, like many valves require a partition across the valve body to support the seat opening, which is the throttling orifice. With the valve closed, loading on the body is difficult to determine. The valve end connections also distort loads on a simple sphere and more complicated shapes. So this way we can say in its shape there are many another considerations, like many valves require a partition across the valve body to support the seat opening. Means for seat opening they need another support and may require a partition across the valve body, which is the throttling orifice. With the valve closed, loading on the body is difficult to determine. Means while closing the valve, there is a much more load on it, so it is difficult to determine how it can control. The valve and connections also distort loads on a simple sphere and more complicated shapes. So this way we can say shapes. There are different shapes. Most economical shapes are sphere or a cylinder shape, and there are another considerations for its shape. So here we are having all the explanation. Ease of manufacture, assembly and costs are additional important considerations. Means for manufacturing, assembly and costs, ease of manufacture, assembly and costs are additional important considerations. Means is like the shape is a very important consideration. Same way, there are assembly and cost as another additional important considerations. Hence, the basic form of a valve body typically is not spherical. Hence, the basic form of a valve body typically is not spherical but ranges from simple block shapes to highly complex shapes in which the bonnet, a removable piece to make assembly possible, forms part of the pressure resisting body. So this way we can say that there are many another considerations for valve body. Typically it is not spherical but ranges from simple block shapes to highly complex shapes in which the bonnet, a removable piece to make assembly possible, forms part of the pressure resisting body. All are included in complex shapes. So it may be simple block shape or it may be complex shape. So assembly and costs are another additional considerations. Narrowing of the fluid passage is also a common method for reducing the overall size and cost of a valve. Means from which the fluid passes. Narrowing of that fluid passage is also a common method for reducing the overall size and cost of a valve. Means if we want to reduce its size and cost, then we should require to narrowing the fluid passage. This is very common method. In other instances, large ends are added to the valve for connection into a larger line. In other instances, large ends are added to the valve for connection into a larger line. So this way we can say that if there are larger lines, then they require large end. If there are small lines, then they require small ends. And for that, everyone require or machine require, we can say that narrow size valve, fluid passage in valve if there is small line. If there is larger line, then they require large ends and large fluid passage. So for reducing its cost, need to reduce its size. Fluid passage need to reduce or need to narrowing the fluid passage. So this way we can explain about valve body. Now here we are having valve bonnet, another important part of control valve. As we have discussed about valve body, here you are having valve bonnet, another important part of control valve. The cover for the opening in the valve body is the bonnet. The cover for the opening in the valve body is the bonnet. In some designs, the body itself is split into two sections that bolt together. The cover for the opening in the valve body is the bonnet. Means cover of any valve body is called bonnet. In some designs, the body itself is split into two sections that bolt together. Means if we want to split into two sections, then like valve bodies, bonnets vary in designs. Some bonnet function simply as valve covers, while others support valves, internals, and accessories such as the stem, disc, and actuator. Means it is according to the design of any valve. Sometimes bonnet is used only for covering purpose, for opening purpose. Sometimes it supports valve internals and accessories such as stem, disc, and actuator. So we can say that in some designs the body itself is split into two sections, the valve bonnet and valve body, right? Because there are having different design, there are variations in its design. Sometimes valve bonnet is used for only covering purpose, only opening purpose. Sometimes valve bonnet is used to support valve internals and accessories such as the stem, disc, and actuator. So this way we can say that it is according to its design, it is according to its use. The design should be fixed according to its use, so that the bonnet can be for covering or opening purpose or for supporting the valve. It may depend on its application, its necessity, right? The bonnet is the second principal pressure boundary of a valve. The bonnet is the second principal pressure boundary of a valve. As like we can say the bonnet is the second principal pressure boundary of a valve. It is cast or forged of the same material as the body, means the body from which the body is prepared, from which material the body is prepared, from the same material the bonnet is also prepared, and is connected to the body by a threaded, bolted, or welded joint. means it is connected by threaded, bolted or welded joints to the body. So this way we can say bonnet is the second principal pressure boundary of a valve, and it can also be prepared from the same material as the body and connected to the body by threaded, bolted or welded joint. So this way we can explain about the function of bonnet and about its material, its location in the control valve. In all cases, the attachment of the bonnet to the body is considered a pressure boundary. Means the attachment of the bonnet to the body is considered a pressure boundary, as like body bonnet is also a pressure boundary. This means that the weld joint or bolts that connect the bonnet to the body are pressure retaining parts. Because the bonnet is attached to its body, so this way we can say that the weld joint or bolts that connect the bonnet to its body are pressure retaining parts. Because the higher pressure is only on bonnet and body, because these are the fundamental basic parts of any control valve. All the pressure is almost on bonnet and body only, and they should be designed as pressure retaining parts. Valve bonnet, although a necessity for most valves, represent a cause for concern. Valve bonnets, although a necessity for most valves, represent a cause for concern. Bonnets can complicate the manufacture of valves. Means bonnets are very important part in body. They can complicate the manufacture of valves, increase valve size, and represent a significant cost portion of valve cost, and are source for potential leakage. Means from the bonnet the leakage is also possible. So this is also fundamental basic part of any control valve. Bonnet can complicate the manufacture of valves because it can be manufactured very precisely, because this body and bonnet are the basic parts of any valve. If in case of leakage or any another thing, the bonnet and body is responsible, we can say. Bonnet can complicate the manufacture of valves, increase valve size, and represent a significant cost portion of valve cost, and are a source for potential leakage. So this way we can say that manufacturing of valve, especially bonnet and body, is very difficult. It can be or it should be designed very precisely, otherwise there is a possibility of leakage or another thing. Without perfection in bonnet and body, it is not possible to design any control valve. The main thing is only depend in designing of bonnet and body only. There must be it's a tight fitting so that it can the body and bonnet there is in body the connection of inlet and outlet and it can resist a flow, and likewise bonnet is also very important supportive system in any control valve. So this way is like body, the valve bonnet is the same way very important and needs precise designing. Now we discuss about valve stream. The internal elements of a valve are collectively referred to as valve stream. Means small internal parts are included in valve stream. The internal elements of a valve are collectively referred to as a valve stream. The stream typically includes a disc, seat, stem, and sleeves needed to guide the stem. Stream includes a disc, seat, stem, and sleeves needed to guide the stem. A valve's performance is determined by the disc and seat interface and the relation of the disc position to the seat. Means a valve performance is determined. So we can say that any control valve performance is only determined by the disc and seat interface and the relation of the disc position to the seat. So disc and seat and the stream part is equivalently important in valve, in designing of valve. These all small things are very important. It should be designed precisely so that the valve fulfill its application. Otherwise, there may be some leakage or losing in valve. Do not fulfill its work or application. Because of the dream, basic motions and flow control are possible because of this of the dream. So because of dream, basic motions and flow control are possible. So from the dream through the disc and seat there is motion possible. In rotational motion, dream designs the disc slides closely past to seat to produce change in flow opening. So trim has mainly we can say two design, rotational motion trim and linear motion trim. It can be designed in two ways. In rotational motion trim design, the disc slides closely past the seat to produce to the seat to produce a change in the flow opening. In linear motion trim design, the disc lips perpendicularly away from the seat perpendicularly away from the seat so that an annular orifice appears. So this way we can say that uh, valve trim is importantly very important. It can be designed in rotational motion trim design. There are mainly two design: rotational motion trim design and linear motion trim design. So this way we can say that this is very important. The seat or sill rings provide the sitting surface for the disc. So trim part, seat and sill rings provide the sitting surface for the disc. In some designs, the body is machined to serve as the sitting surface, and sill rings are not used. So a trim has mainly many parts: the seat, its design, sill, and many things. The seat or sill rings provide the sitting surface for the disc. In some designs, the body is machined to serve as the sitting surface and sill rings are not used. In some designs, there are seat and sill rings. In some designs, there are only sitting surface. Sill rings are not used. So it is depend on the designing of control valves only. In other designs, forged seal rings are threaded or welded to the body to provide the sitting surface. In other designs, forged seal rings are threaded or welded to the body to provide sitting surface. Means sometimes seals are also used as sitting surface if they are threaded or welded to the body. Seal rings are threaded or welded to the body. So it's totally depend on the design of valve. There are different functions of seat, seal, disc, bodies, trim, and everything. But these all small parts of the body or valve needs precise or precision to improve the wear resistance of the seal rings. The surface is often hard faced by welding and then machining the contact surface of the seal ring. A fine surface finish of the sitting area is necessary for good sealing when the valve is closed. To improve the wear resistance of the seal ring, the surface is often hard faced by welding. Means to improve the wear resistance means resistance from the flow. The surface is often hard faced by welding and then machining the contact surface of the seal ring. A fine surface finish of the sitting area is necessary for good sealing when the valve is closed. So fine surface required for good packing or for good sealing, we can say, not leakaging anything from it. So fine finished sitting area is necessary for good work of that valve. good sealing when the valve is closed. Seal rings are not usually considered pressure boundary parts. Seal rings as bonnet and body. The seal rings are not means bonnet and body are considered as pressure boundary parts of any control valve. Uh, Here, seal rings are not usually considered pressure boundary parts because the body has sufficient wall thickness to withstand design pressure without relying upon the thickness of the seal rings because body has sufficient wall thickness means in body has sufficient wall thickness to withstand design pressure without relying upon the thickness of seal ring means there is not any much we can say pressure on seal rings, they are only for sealing purpose. So we can say that seal rings are not usually considered pressure boundary parts. As simply we can say that because the body has sufficient wall thickness to withstand design pressure without relying upon the thickness of seal ring means thickness of seal rings are not important. In another way can say that it is not a pressure boundary part. So this way we have discussed about the trim, the internal part. There are small parts in trim, seat, seal, disc and seal rings and many more things. You have seen it in its figure. So students, today we are concluding our lecture here. The next remaining parts of this control valve we will discuss in the next session. You will need to first understand its figure and then after that by the we can say that application of that their small parts or designing of the small parts you may have better idea about uh, control valves, how it can be designed, what kind of shape it will be given, that all things depend on its application. And we can say that flow resistance. So valve designing, here we are having idea about detailed idea about elements of control valve. Today we have discussed mainly the main elements of control valve, right? But we will discuss each and everything in detail stepwise. The remaining portion we will discuss in the next session. Till then, thank you all students. Thank you so much.